TEDxAdankolo, I hail. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you for having me. Today, we intend to rub minds on deliberate conversations, and my topic is One Nigeria, refreshing the page. When you refresh your PC, all of us here use computers, and periodically you refresh your PC because you want it to work faster. Our country, since amalgamation in 1914, and then flowing to independence in 1960, up until the different epochs, the Civil War, the military period, then return to democracy, military again, then finally we are here in the Fourth Republic. The PC, assuming our country is a PC, it's been working. And we have a problem of not always refreshing our PC. And that is why it appears that we have a backlog now. The system is choked up, it's slow, and sometimes we don't seem to understand whether we are working it or it is working us. But like computers, like nations, vibrant nations, especially democracies, they are fearless when it comes to amending their ground norm, the rules of their engagement, in order to improve who they are, where they are, and recondition themselves for their current and present realities. The United States, of course, their constitution came into being on March 4, 1789. Since then, there has been more than 11,000 proposals for amendment. About 33 of them have gone through the stages of going to the states for approval, and 27 have been completed and incorporated into the system. As we all know right now, they are trying also to see whether they are having a deliberate conversation about gun laws. They have a law, the Second Amendment, which allows you to buy guns, keep it at home, and use it freely. But they are considering the gun violence. There's a very serious conversation going on right now, whether they should amend that same constitution now to remove the right to bear and to keep arms. In Nigeria, there are some things we have in our constitutions. Some people will say it's not even our constitution. We didn't make it, it was imposed on us. But what I know is that whatever we have there is what we have. We have to make the best use of what we currently have. Luckily for us, in Section 9 of our Constitution, there is also a provision to alter it, which means if we don't like where we are right now, if we don't like certain things right now, we can move to have it changed. We're at this pointer. Now, the strongest part of our Constitution is the one that we call One Nigeria. It says in Section 2, the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be one indivisible and indissoluble sovereign state to be known by the name of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then it tells us how we're supposed to divide it. So when you see indivisible and indissoluble, those two words alone should make anybody to lose hope. Okay? But again, we have Section 9. And we want to explore in this period of deliberate conversations whether we should be as we are, or is there something better we can be? And depending on what you agree, do we need to improve on what we are or change what we are? That's just the little thing I want us to look at. So that strongest part of our Constitution, the one about indissolubility and indivisibility, is confronted by too many schisms. I think it was Bob Marley who sang a song, and he talked about this curious phrase, schisms. When the isms cause schisms, they bring divisions, they bring disagreements, and we have so many of them in Nigeria. Tribalism, you know that one. Ethnic nationalism, some of us don't know that one very well, but it is where, well, let me leave it and move on. Regionalism, we all know that one. Religionism, we all know that one, we're all guilty of it. Nepotism, we know that one, we're all praying to be beneficiaries of it. And then there is favoritism. After the nepotism has worked, those that nepotism has selected, there is a further selection where favoritism comes in. So if our fathers have connections, we can get the CBN job. But when all of us, children of the connected, land at CBN, there are still a few of the children of the better and higher connected that favoritism will ensure that maybe they will have double promotions, triple promotions, they get all the juicy postings and the rest. So when you look at our indivisibility as a nation and the indissolubility, we have too many isms, schisms fighting against it. A lot of citizens are disenchanted at this point because one way or the other, there is nobody in this hall today who has not felt the brunt of this. Either you want to get into a unity school and you're told they start talking about quota system and cut-off marks. Or maybe you want to get a job, they talk about federal character and the rest. So there's no Nigerian who is fully satisfied with Nigeria because of these ism schisms. Thank you. We are all casualties because of this. This is a poem by J.P. Clark. I took this extract from it to show that all of us in Nigeria, whether you are part of those who are enjoying or those who have been excluded, we are all casualties. The drums overwhelm the guns, like on Facebook. People talk, anything, fake news is everywhere now. In fact, it's become such a global problem that countries have criminalized it. Whether you know it or not, we have also criminalized it in Nigeria. Most people don't know, I think until IG Wala went to jail 7 years, or is it 12 years last week, most people didn't know that when you formulate something in your head and you post it on social media, it can land you in prison. Section 24 of the Cyber Security Act of 2011, signed by Goodluck Jonathan, contains a very curious provision which says if you know or you are not sure that something is not true and you post it online, you are guilty. And once they catch you, you are going to jail. So it's better for those who don't know, as you're tweeting now, just ensure that you're tweeting exactly what is going on here. Otherwise, if you add what TEDxAdankolo did not say or do, TEDxAdankolo can come after you and they will succeed in jailing you. Now, but why? We talk about all of us being casualty. Now, why are all of us casualties? It says because we cannot hear each other, because the eyes have seized the face. We no longer recognize each other as human beings. We are just seeing crowd. We are seeing Igbo people, Hausa people, Yoruba people, Birom people, Basange people. We are not seeing individuals. But when I was in secondary school, I met so many young people from across Nigeria, and I knew them for who they were, I accepted them for who they were, and they did the same to me. And it was a man's character that counted, not where he came from, or how he worshipped, or the class. In fact, we had children of the extremely rich who were best friends with children of the extremely poor. And, you know, that synergy has helped some of us. Today, they kept murdering my name. My name is Moses Okezie-Okafor. I am from Anambra State in the Nnewi South Local Government of Nigeria. By the grace of God, today, I'm the Director General, Research and Development to the Governor of Kogi State, His Excellency Alhaji Yahaya Bello. I'm also his speechwriter, like they've all kept saying here. And by the grace of God, I also attend. I'm a member, in a way, of the Kogi State Executive Council. And one day I was in my house. Somebody called me, Moses, where are you? I told him I was in Abuja. He said, we like the way you normally do certain things, the way you do your posts on Facebook. If you can do a couple of things for you, we'll be glad. And that person happened to be a childhood friend, somebody I met in FGC Kwale Abuja, who was not really, let me not say he was a bosom friend. We were friends, but we weren't bosom friends. But after school, we had met, kept in touch, did one or two things together. And by the grace of God, through Edward Onoja, I became connected to Alhaji Yahaya Bello, and today this is what I'm doing for now. Ordinarily, I am trained to be a lawyer, and I've practiced for about 14 years before I came to Kogi State. And so you notice that when you cannot distinguish faces from the crowd, opportunities such as I have had could be lost to me, to you, to everybody in this hall. And that is why it is so dangerous when we stay in a country together and we are not looking at the conditions of our being together and seeing whether we can refresh our page. Because whether we know or we do not know the extent of wrong on all sides, we are characters now other than before. So that we don't keep accusing our parents, we are characters. Our parents have made their own mistakes. Are we making the same mistakes? It's something we need to think about. Deliberate conversations, we must question the status quo, how we are now. We must question it as a new generation, as a younger generation. No this and that. There's no Nigerian. If I take a poll in this, or if I ask you to tell me one thing that we don't have now, somebody will say electricity, right? We don't have it. Poor this and that. Healthcare is very poor. Irregular this and that. There are so many things that are irregular, right? Expensive this and that. We cannot afford many normal things of life. Too much this and that. Too much insecurity everywhere. Too much this, too much that. You know? So for me as a person, I say there has got to be more than this. This cannot just be, now so we go the day. And I'm asking you, now so we go the day. Thank you very much. So we need to have these conversations. We can't continue like this. Nigeria is stuck in limbo. In our generation, Nigeria is just going around in circles. Some people are so displeased. They are talking about Republic of Biafra. We know about the IPOB agitations. Some are talking about Oduduwa Republic. Some are talking of Arewa Republic. There's the Niger Delta Republic. There's the Middle Belt Republic. And there are family republics too. Above all, we have restructuring is the new shibboleth. Everybody is talking about restructuring. But what is restructuring to you is different from what is restructuring to me. How then do we gather all this together to have the country that we believe we deserve and the country that we ought to hand over to our children? They say a wise man is the person who plants a tree knowing that he may never get the chance to sit under its shade. So if we are no longer doing for ourselves, why don't we do it for our children and for our children's children? And that is why we must have deliberate conversation. Now, if you ask me, we all need to take some responsibility. I think this thing ran one slide. Okay, sorry. Okay, stuck in limbo. The next slide is a more excellent way. I call this a more excellent way because this is the Nigeria we know. That's our coat of arms. If you look at it, it says unity and faith, peace and progress. If we don't know anything else to do, if we cannot decide whether we want to go to our various republics, and even if we want to go, if the powers that be cannot agree to let us go, okay, there is something on ground. That thing, in my opinion, we can still salvage it if we refresh the page. And that thing is Nigeria. Let us go back to the basics. Look at our coat of arms. It talks about unity and faith. In fact, I've seen some very funny youths that will now draw the coat of arms. The eagle has flown away. The horses have taken off in different directions. And it's just remaining the boarding school in the middle, hanging fallen. That is a very bad thought process for a youth. And if you're one of them, you need to repent. Okay? It is important that we have hope concerning this Nigeria and we work to make sure that Nigeria is working. So, if we can begin to work on unity and faith, unity, oneness, faith, believe in this country, believe in your ability, believe in other people, and try your best to not be the problem. Of course, peace and progress. Nigeria must have peace. That is the job of our government, and they cannot escape it. We must have progress too. It is also the job of government. While we are giving the job to ourselves in our little corner, there's a government out there in Kogi State, there's a government out there at the federal level that has the job to provide these things for us. When I came to Kogi, 6 p.m., everybody will be warning me, you this Igbo man, better go home. There was no nightlife. Today, there's a major and tremendous improvement in security, and it is because somebody somewhere in government took the responsibility to make it happen. It can happen all over this country, and that is what we are charging our leaders to give to us. Unity and faith, peace and progress. One Nigeria, these are the thoughts for food. You take them home, you feed on it, and see whether it can push you to take action. Do we need a better country? Please answer me. Do we need a better country? Yes. Or do we need better citizens? Or is it both? If you say both, let me see your hand. Okay, let's do like this. If you say we only need a better country, let me see your hand. Only a better country. Okay, do we need better citizens? Yes. Raise your hand. And if you say both, let me see your hands. The both have it. And that is true. We need those in charge of our country to make it better. We also as citizens have a duty to help make our country better. And then, based on what we have had so far, should we refresh the page on Nigeria or close it, Gabadaya? I will not ask anybody anything. Don't answer me. Think for yourself and act accordingly. Then, but if you ask me as a person, this is my own personal opinion, it's not binding on you. We all need to take some responsibility for status quo. Status quo we know is what obtains right now, right? But in the Latin, the transliteration of status quo is the mess that we are in. That is the transliteration of the word status quo. It is the mess that we are in. And this is a quote from Julius Caesar, one of Shakespeare's seminal works. He says, "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings." Personally, I believe that I have a responsibility. If Nigeria is not the Nigeria of my dream, I have a responsibility to make it the Nigeria of my dream. It's not God's will that Nigeria should be like this. The fault is not in the stars, it is in us, it is in me. And if we go home with that, it will help us to be proactive rather than passive, waiting for somebody to act. Somebody can start the revolution, somebody can run for office and bring the change, and it just starts with us knowing and believing that we have a responsibility. And then if you ask me again, we all need to accept some responsibility for our nation and her realities. And I would like to leave us today with one of my favorite accountability quotes, and it is from the Bible. It says, "The foolishness of a man undermines his way, ruining whatever he undertakes, and then his heart is resentful, and he rages against the Lord. For being a fool, he blames the Lord instead of himself." This is in the Bible. When you look at the way things are in Nigeria today, we are blaming everybody but ourselves. But I tell you, if we look at Nigeria, one Nigeria is a page that we should refresh. And that refreshment starts when we all begin to take individual and collective responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.